Since 1997, Adrenaline had been pushing paintball guns to the next level. They didn't just tweak the Angel LED back in the day, they gave it a new life. And that was just the start, from the Adrenaline Impulse to the Shocker XLS, and now the Lux Idol. They've already taken great paintball guns and cranked them up to 11. Adrenaline's focus isn't on cutting costs, it's all about performance. While other companies juggle features and price, Adrenaline make changes players actually want. The Lux Idol is the next stop on that journey. We're going to go into all the details, every upgrade if it's worth that $2,200 price, all the speed bumps along the way, and most importantly, how does the thing shoot? The road to perfecting the Adrenaline Idol was anything but smooth. For almost 4 years, Adrenaline and DLX slogged through countless revisions. The bolt system was one of the most challenging. Each time they thought they'd nailed it, like with reducing the size of the air inlet on that bolt guide extension, that required reworking the spool and yet another round of tests. But it wasn't just the bolt that needed attention, every component of the gun had to be considered. Every step along the way, Adrenaline stuck to their philosophy: crank it up to 11, take no prisoners. The prisoners part, they kill the prisoners. They don't, they're not keeping prisoners around. After years of blood, sweat, and maybe a few tears, the Adrenaline Idol was finally ready. Shooting faster, better ergonomics, improved shot quality, every detail was dialed. Even before you lay a finger on the gun, you can tell it's something special. The box is sleek, the branding is sharp, and all the little touches like the branding on the zippers, the Adrenaline logos, it makes it clear that you're about to experience something unique. And then you see the gun itself, those dragon scales cover the entire body, the dragon skin accents on the barrel, foregrip, the feed neck lever, and on the back strap. It's as much a piece of art as it is, a paintball gun. You get that blade trigger with the cool snake tongue on the bottom, and it's a little bit different than the Deuce style you're getting on the standard Lux. Although if you do like the Deuce trigger, you can add it to your order for an additional $45. Normally I'm all about these Deuce triggers, but really kind of the trend in paintball lately seems to be making these triggers weigh as little as possible. The triggers have gotten so light, but not the actual trigger pull, like the actual physical trigger itself. They just don't feel as solid as they used to. I mean, when you pull the triggers now, they just feel way too light. You can kind of even feel the triggers flex, and they don't just feel as satisfying when they're reaching the end of the trigger pull. This blade trigger though on the Adrenaline Idol is a bit thicker and heavier, and while the trigger pull feels the same, it's just as easy to pull, it just feels considerably more satisfying and nicer when it hits that trigger stop. The added weight of the blade just feels a lot nicer, and you really do feel it. But that real weird stuff happens when you look inside. It has auto-cocker threads, something players have been asking for since the Lux was released. And now we finally have it, making the Adrenaline Idol the only Lux with auto-cocker threads. Now you can go dig in the closet and use all those old auto-cocker barrels. Like the standard Idol though, the Adrenaline Idol comes with a Freak XL barrel. But it comes with the 684 SAS insert or the slick as shit insert. Players are reporting jumps of up to 15 feet per second just by swapping out these inserts. The SAS inserts actually have a Teflon baked into the aluminum, so it really is, slick as shit, which reduces drag, improves efficiency, lowers pressures, and just makes cleaning breaks out easier. Now let's dive into the real mad science area, the Bernoulli bolt. This is a 5-piece system. You get the bolt can, bolt guide extension, and the spool. And this is really where most of the magic happens. The concept behind the bolt is the Bernoulli principle, which basically says that when you force a large volume of air through a small opening, the air speeds up and the pressure drops. It's like when you put your thumb on a garden hose and suddenly make, a makeshift pressure washer. The Bernoulli bolt does something similar by having a smaller opening at the face of the bolt, which accelerates that air as it exits. The result is a lower operating pressure for the whole system, meaning less kick, a quieter shot, and better air efficiency. The stock bolt also has a similar taper, but it's definitely much more aggressive with the Adrenaline Bernoulli bolt. One of the changes to the previous Lux, the TM40, to the Idol is the addition of the holes on the rear of the bolt. When the TM40 cycles, air enters the bolt in a single dump. The bolt moves forward, and as soon as it passes this O-ring on the bolt guide, air rushes in and bam! paintball gun shoots. With the idle, that firing process or shooting process is similar, but when those holes pass over the O-ring, air moves in through them before the larger air dump happens. This slows down air entering the bolt, making the shot feel softer. But Adrenaline's taken that to the next level and opened up those holes even more. This gives the idle a bit smoother transition at the start of the shot, making that overall firing process a little bit smoother. And they've also redesigned the bolt guide extension. Thanks to their lower operating pressure, Adrenaline were able to reduce the size of the inlet that takes in extra air that's used to recock the bolt. And if that's not enough, the whole system is coated in WS2, aka tungsten disulfide. It's the slickest dry lubricant on the planet. And yeah, you still need to grease the gun, but this coating minimizes friction and wear further, reducing pressures and helping the gun perform in extreme conditions. So whether it's a freezing cold outside or you just forgot to grease your gun up, it should stay working for longer. But if you already have a Lux Idle or perhaps a Shocker Era, but want to get in a little bit of this adrenaline action, you can actually snag yourself a Bernoulli bolt system separately for only $150. And we'll get to how this thing shoots in a minute. And the whole star of the show, the mechanical frame. And you know, I'm a huge fan of mechanical play, and the Shockers and Luxes already have arguably the best mechanical frame in the game. They're super adjustable, built like tanks, and they are lightning fast. But Adrenaline, like everything else, cranked their mechanical frame to 11. It's coming with a larger trigger guard, maxing out at 1.4-inch limit. The bigger trigger guard is a game changer for two main reasons. It's possible to actually walk the trigger, which I can't really do that well. I just can't fit my, fingers in that trigger guard very well, but a lot of other people can do it.
I can't do it.
And that longer trigger gives you more leverage, making single finger shooting even easier. That trigger pivot point has also been shifted up in the frame, giving you even more leverage, making it even easier again. All this means that you can set the trigger up to be extremely lightweight, make it shoot very fast, and these mechanical guns shoot just as fast as electric guns now. I mean, it's to the point where we should just make a double trigger mechanical frame for the Idle. Adrenaline, double trigger mechanical frame. Inside the frame, you'll find the top secret turbo valve. This valve has a 50% reduced stroke and 15% increased airflow, virtually eliminating the chances of short stroking. And you get two pairs of grips with the mechanical frame. You get the standard rubber wraparound grips and wood panel grips. And I honestly haven't owned a gun with panel grips since my 2002 autococker in 2002, and I didn't think I'd like them. But I actually like them more than the rubber grips. It's something about it, right? Like having those angles and little more angular spots where you just hold the gun feels like I just get a little bit more grip. It's kind of like those ridges they put on the foregrip. It just kind of makes it feel a little bit more secure. On the back of the frame, you're gonna find a Garmin timer built right in. And battery life is crazy. Garmin says the watch face that this watch actually goes in is good for over a year, which is nuts. I mean, that's just like, regular use with a watch too. This thing's in the paintball gun. You're not using it nearly as much. So I'd assume that battery life's like a decade, probably not a decade, a long time. And it also comes with a very unique authenticity program. When you get your Adrenaline Idle, you register the gun on the Bitcoin blockchain through Veristart. And no, it won't mine tokens while you're charging it, but that might, no, that's not a good idea. But really, you just scan the QR code that comes in the box, register your Adrenaline Idle, and now it's publicly recorded on the Bitcoin blockchain. If you ever decide to sell the gun, the new owner simply scans that card and then it transfers ownership. It's really just a unique way to verify and track the gun's history. Adrenaline came up with the idea mainly because they get asked a lot about guns being re-anodized because it can kind of affect the quality or performance. So a lot of customers want to just make sure they have the original anodizing, and this can help keep track of that. And there are no gas fees on this thing either. Adrenaline are going to pay the fees forever. You can see that custom boot screen and hear that custom voice pack.
Enter the dragon. Fireball.
And it's just kind of fun, but it's actually not there for all the settings. There's actually not enough memory on the board to accommodate these larger files. But it is there for all the different firing modes. After all the planning, testing, and relentless refining, The real test of the Adrenaline Luxe Idol comes down to one thing: how it performs on the field. And from the moment I picked it up, the first thing that jumps out at me is that larger foregrip. And it's shaped a little bit different too. And oh, let's not forget that anodizing. I mean, seriously, it just feels extra nice. It's just a cut above the standard Luxe. And you can tell that right away. Why? Because there's kind of two options, right? You get the quick ship version that's anodized by DLX at the factory that comes with the more standard colors. Or you can opt for a fully customized job that's anodized by Outlaw or Blizzard Anodizing. And I mean, really, you can trust me, the thing feels fantastic. I mean, it just feels nicer, right? The polish is higher quality, the anodizing is thicker. It's just a better quality anodizing, and you can really feel and see it. That premium anodizing is why you're seeing two different price points. You get the quick ship that's $2,200, and then custom versions are starting at $2,450. And then of course you can do really whatever you want, right? Like there's even rumors of a gold plated version selling for $7,000. And you know, at $2,200, it's kind of a deal. I mean, it's kind of weird to say that, but the standard Idol is $1,800. And when you put on the mechanical frame, it's $2,050. So for an extra $150 you can get an Adrenaline Idol, it's really not a bad deal. Let's talk about that larger foregrip. Adrenaline made it bigger on purpose. But don't worry, it's not like, you know, huge. It's not as big as the LV2 or Force. Plus that dragon skin texture on that foregrip does add a little bit more grip. So normally the DLX guns have an angled foregrip, which some people love, but I cannot stand it. I just want it to be vertical. So I really like how they've made the front just straight down. It's not like angled out. And if you know me, you know that I'm usually not one to jump on to bolt upgrades. That's because most of the time they literally do absolutely nothing. And historically, companies like Tech-T would crank them out just because people would buy them. You know, they'll make them, people will buy them, so they're making them and people are buying them and they do nothing. But with the Adrenaline Idol, you know, it actually delivers. And I've compared this to two standard Idols, and really it does shoot softer. I mean, it legitimately shoots better. You know, the stock versions have a little bit snappier, kickier shot. But even just putting the Bernoulli bolt into a standard Luxe, which I also did, also makes a difference. I just thought, I'm like, I don't know which one really was dramatically different. You know, the Idol, the stock Idol with the Bernoulli bolt, the Adrenaline Idol, you know, also with the Bernoulli bolt, they probably shot the same. The Luxe has always been one of the most respected guns, but Adrenaline have cranked it up to 11. Every feature, every upgrade is dialed with one thing in mind: quality and performance. The milling, the ergonomics, shot quality, and that obsession to detail. But here's the thing. Adrenaline didn't create a perfect paintball gun. Why? Because perfection isn't something you just land on. It's something you have to keep on chasing. And the Adrenaline Idol is the peak of their innovation. But they know that journey isn't over. There's always something new to discover, a new level to hit. And Adrenaline are about that pursuit. What they've built is a gun that sets a new standard. And as long as Adrenaline is in the game, the chase for the perfect paintball gun will never stop.